These men discovered something shocking in Chernobyl that left all scientists in a panic. In the shadow of Reactor 4, where time stood still in 1986, explorers have uncovered secrets that challenge everything we thought we knew about nuclear disasters. From mutant creatures to ghostly remnants of Soviet life, the Chernobyl Forbidden Zone holds mysteries that continue to baffle researchers decades after the catastrophe. What they found hidden among the ruins will shock you. Join us as we take a look at each of these discoveries. Let's go. Number 15. The Deadly Elephant's Foot. Hidden in the basement beneath the ruined reactor lies perhaps Chernobyl's most terrifying legacy, a solidified mass of nuclear fuel, concrete, and sand that melted through floors during the disaster's most intense phase. This grotesque formation, nicknamed the Elephant's Foot for its wrinkled, gray appearance, represents the most dangerous object on Earth. When first discovered months after the disaster, this mass was emitting radiation at levels approaching 10,000 roentgens per hour, enough to deliver a fatal dose in less than a minute. Early photographs appear blurry not from poor camera work but because radiation literally interfered with film development. The only images came from robots and carefully timed exposures taken from safe distances. Perhaps the most troubling discovery about the elephant's foot is that it's changing. Monitoring equipment installed in 2017 detected subtle shifts in its composition as various radioactive elements decay at different rates. Number 14. The Contaminated Milk Crisis. When scientists tested milk from farms outside the official exclusion zone, their findings triggered immediate alarm. Samples contained cesium-137 levels exceeding safety standards by factors of 5 to 10, even from cows grazing miles from the reactor site. This discovery expanded understanding of how far radioactive particles had traveled. The milk contamination created an emergency food security crisis in a region where dairy production formed the backbone of rural economies. Entire communities that had survived the initial disaster now faced economic collapse as their primary products became unmarketable and dangerous. Testing revealed the mechanism behind the contamination. Cesium particles had bonded to soil components in ways that made them highly absorbable by plants. Number 13. The Basement Archives. Deep beneath an administrative building in Pripyat, explorers discovered a sealed basement room containing thousands of documents that survived decades of abandonment. These papers, personnel records, technical manuals, and daily logs from the power plant provide an unprecedented window into the final days before the disaster. The most shocking revelation came from maintenance logs showing that engineers had documented critical safety flaws in reactor design years before the explosion. These warnings, marked urgent and sent to Moscow, were repeatedly ignored or returned, with instructions to continue operations despite acknowledged risks. One particularly damning document outlined the results of a similar near-miss incident at another Soviet nuclear plant years earlier. I have a question for you. First, I would like to say that it is possible to follow the greatest curiosities of our world every day. But to do so, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, are you already subscribed? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Also, take the opportunity to like the video, so YouTube will recommend more videos from our channel, so leave your like right now. And now that you have done that, let's go. Number 12. The Fox That Makes Sandwiches. In one of the zone's most surreal moments, wildlife researchers documented a wild fox that appeared to demonstrate unprecedented behavior. It systematically assembled sandwiches from food items provided by visitors. This extraordinary behavior, captured on video that quickly went viral, stunned behavioral scientists worldwide. The fox approached researchers at a checkpoint, showing unusual comfort around humans, not surprising given the lack of hunting in the zone. When offered bread and meat separately, the fox carefully placed the meat between slices of bread before eating, a behavior never before documented in wild canids. Further observation revealed the fox had developed an entire repertoire of behaviors, mimicking human food preparation. Number 11. Monster fish of the cooling channel. The cooling ponds near the Chernobyl reactor now host some of the most surprising residents of the exclusion zone. Giant catfish that grow to monstrous proportions, some reaching over 6 feet in length. These aquatic giants swim lazily through the murky waters, visible from observation points as dark shadows gliding beneath the surface. What makes these fish truly remarkable isn't radiation-induced mutation as many initially suspected, but rather their uninterrupted growth in an environment free from fishing pressure. With humans gone, these catfish have achieved their natural size potential, revealing what these species can become when left undisturbed. Researchers who tested the tissue of these giants found something unexpected. While these fish do contain elevated levels of cesium-137 and strontium-90, their DNA shows surprisingly few mutations compared to fish from uncontaminated waters. Number 10. The Hospital of Ghosts. Walking through the abandoned Pripyat hospital feels like stepping into a nightmare frozen in time. This decaying building once hosted the very first victims of the Chernobyl disaster, firefighters and plant workers who rushed to battle an invisible enemy. Their contaminated uniforms still lie in the basement, radiating deadly particles after nearly 4 decades. The hospital corridors tell a brutal story through objects left exactly as they were that fatal night: scattered pill bottles, overturned gurneys, and patient records blown across floors by decades of wind. The most disturbing discovery came when researchers found radiation levels in certain areas still high enough to trigger acute radiation poisoning after just hours of exposure. In one haunting room, a child's stuffed bear sits abandoned on a rusted hospital bed, its fabric slowly disintegrating from radiation exposure. Number 9. Nature's Stadium Takeover. The Avanhard Stadium once hosted soccer matches for thousands of Pripyat residents, its seats filled with cheering fans and families enjoying weekend entertainment. Today, this massive concrete structure has transformed into something out of a post-apocalyptic film, a haunting testament to nature's reclamation power. The most striking transformation is the playing field itself, now a dense forest of birch trees reaching heights of nearly 30 feet. These trees grow directly through what was once carefully maintained turf, their roots cracking through concrete and creating a surreal forest-stadium hybrid that photographers from around the world risk radiation exposure to document. Scientists studying vegetation patterns within the exclusion zone made a startling discovery at the stadium. The trees growing inside show significantly faster growth rates than similar species outside the structure. Number 8. The Red Forest Phenomenon. Just downwind from the exploded reactor stands what scientists call the Red Forest, a stretch of pine trees that absorbed so much radiation during the initial blast that they died instantly, their needles turning a rusty red color before falling. This area remains one of the most radioactive places on Earth, with soil readings still setting off alarms on detection equipment. The most astonishing discovery in the Red Forest came decades after the disaster, when researchers found that decomposition processes had effectively stopped. Dead trees that would normally break down within years remained virtually preserved, with fungi and bacteria unable to perform their usual decay functions due to radiation levels that kill microorganisms. Soil samples from the Red Forest revealed radiation hotspots containing particles of reactor fuel that were ejected during the explosion. Number 7. The Duga Radar Installation. Rising from the forests near Chernobyl stands one of the Cold War's most mysterious structures, the massive Duga Radar Array, nicknamed the Russian Woodpecker for the distinctive tapping sound it broadcast across shortwave frequencies worldwide. This enormous steel lattice structure, standing over 500 feet tall and stretching nearly half a mile in length, represents one of the most shocking discoveries for visitors to the zone. The true purpose of Duga remained classified until years after the Soviet collapse. While officially described as an early warning system for detecting ICBM launches, documents uncovered in Ukrainian archives revealed its additional function as an over-the-horizon targeting system designed to direct Soviet nuclear strikes against Western cities with unprecedented accuracy. Engineers examining the abandoned facility discovered sophisticated technology that was decades ahead of publicly known capabilities. Number 6. The Pripyat Amusement Park's tragic timing. The amusement park in Pripyat now stands as one of the most iconic images of the disaster, its rust-covered Ferris wheel and decaying bumper cars creating a haunting tableau of interrupted joy. What makes this site particularly heartbreaking is the timing. The park was scheduled to open on May 1, 1986, just days after the disaster struck. Recent archival research uncovered the park's most tragic aspect. Construction was actually completed weeks earlier, but authorities delayed the opening to coincide with May Day celebrations. Had they opened it immediately upon completion, children would have enjoyed at least some time there before evacuation. Radiation surveys of the amusement rides revealed unexpected patterns. The metal surfaces of the Ferris wheel contained significantly higher contamination levels than surrounding structures. Number 5. Wildlife reclamation against all odds. Perhaps the most surprising discovery in the Chernobyl exclusion zone is the thriving wildlife population that has emerged since human abandonment. Against all scientific predictions, the region has transformed into Europe's most unusual nature reserve, where wolves, bears, bison, and countless other species roam freely through former towns and villages. Camera trap studies revealed population densities of large mammals exceeding those in many protected national parks. Wolf populations have reached levels 7 times higher than in comparable wilderness areas, while rare species like Przewalski's horses, introduced after the disaster, have established successful breeding herds. The most controversial research involves genetic studies of zone wildlife. While some scientists report elevated mutation rates in certain species, others have found surprisingly normal genetic profiles, suggesting animals have developed mechanisms to cope with radiation exposure. Number 4. The last working canteen. In stark contrast to the abandoned ruins surrounding it, Canteen 19 continues operation in the heart of the exclusion zone, serving hot meals to workers, researchers, and the handful of permanent zone employees. This Soviet-era cafeteria represents the only functioning food service establishment in an area the size of Luxembourg. The kitchen still uses original Soviet equipment, including massive steel pots and industrial-scale cooking implements designed for feeding hundreds. Each morning, fresh food is trucked in from outside the zone after undergoing radiation screening, ensuring meals remain safe for consumption in this highly contaminated environment. The canteen's continued operation created an unexpected scientific opportunity. Researchers monitor radiation levels in prepared foods as a way of tracking contamination throughout the ecosystem. Number 3. The self-sustaining sarcophagus. The original concrete sarcophagus hastily built to contain the destroyed reactor revealed one of Chernobyl's most unexpected phenomena. It developed its own unique ecosystem. Inside the massive concrete structure, extreme conditions created an environment where highly specialized organisms evolved to feed on radiation itself. Scientists sampling the interior discovered dozens of fungal species previously unknown to science. Most remarkable was a black fungus growing directly on the reactor walls, containing high levels of melanin that appears to convert radiation into chemical energy through a process similar to how plants use chlorophyll with sunlight. These organisms don't just survive in the intensely radioactive environment, they appear to require it. When samples were cultivated in laboratories under normal conditions, they grew poorly or died entirely. Number 2. The lost robots. In the desperate cleanup efforts following the disaster, Soviet engineers deployed dozens of remotely operated vehicles to handle the most dangerous tasks in areas where radiation would quickly kill humans. Many of these robots, some specially designed for the cleanup, others repurposed from military applications, failed and were abandoned in the reactor buildings. Expeditions to map the interior of the damaged buildings discovered these lost machines decades later, creating an eerie robot graveyard. Most striking were the biorobots, remote-controlled bulldozers sent to clear radioactive graphite from the reactor roof, now frozen in place exactly where they ceased functioning. Technical analysis of the recovered robots revealed why so many failed. Their electronic systems were inadequately shielded against the intense radiation fields. Number 1. The babushkas who refused to leave. Perhaps the most remarkable human discovery in the Chernobyl zone isn't technological at all. It's the community of elderly women who illegally returned to their homes shortly after evacuation. These babushkas of Chernobyl defied government orders and radiation warnings, choosing to live in their ancestral villages despite the dangers. Medical monitoring of these women yielded surprising results. Many have lived into their 80s and 90s despite consuming locally grown food and water for decades. While some show expected health impacts from radiation exposure, others exhibit remarkable resilience, challenging scientific understanding of long-term low-dose radiation effects on humans. Anthropologists studying this community documented their unique approach to post-disaster life. Cut off from modern healthcare and services, they revived traditional folk medicine practices, using specific herbs they claim protect against radiation. Sickness, some of which scientists have subsequently found contain compounds that may indeed help the body eliminate certain radioactive isotopes. Now, I have a special recommendation for you. Are you seeing this video that is appearing on the screen? Click on it because I'm sure you'll like it. Well, that's it. And until next time, Curious One.